So I think ETH outperforms Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes up, ETH outperforms Bitcoin, Solana outperforms ETH, and something else is going to be the Solana of last cycle, which was the rocket ship. Who knows? Is it Celestia? Is it one of the ones we don't know that everybody else gets? I don't know. So something will massively outperform Solana, but as a major crypto, I think Solana is the play for this cycle. But for those who don't like Solana, Ethereum's going to do very well, and it'll do better than Bitcoin, which will do very well.
Paul, co-founder and CEO of Real Vision, telling you that he believes Solana will be the fastest horse in the next crypto bull run of 2024 and 2025. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to do well, but he thinks Solana will be number one. What do you guys think about that? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. But welcome back to the channel. Aaron from the Bitcoin Bros coming back at you with another cryptocurrency video today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. New videos coming out every single day. And in today's clip, we'll be checking out Raoul Pal in a recent interview that he just did, talking about what he believes is going to happen for the crypto market in 2024 and into 2025. He gives a Bitcoin price prediction, how high he sees Bitcoin going, the effect of the ETFs, a lot of useful information in today's video. And you guys know that Raoul loves Solana and he loves Ethereum. So he talks a little bit about those in today's clip as well. So make sure to watch this one until the end. Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you found any value. Let's go ahead and check out the clip here.
I said this about a year ago. I said, well, the Bitcoin ETF all depends on where the Bitcoin price is when it launches. And I said, look, if it's about 50,000, I randomly chose that number and it's right there.
Yep.
And not because I'm a prophet or anything, but I was like, well, if it's around 50,000, people are just going to go, well, it's not far to the all-time highs. I want to get it before it gets to the all-time highs. And that momentum cycle starts. Because price is the driver of narrative, is the driver of volume, is everything in this space. So it's kind of come at a perfect time. And then let's say it goes quiet for a little bit. And then we get the Bitcoin halving noise, and then the crypto, the macro cycle, the rate cuts. That's all to come ahead of us. The liquidity cycle, all of that. So it could not have come at a better time. So I think the probability is it does better this year than people expect. So I think Eric and everybody else, their job is to be conservative. As I said, I just spoke to Hunter Horsley from Bitwise, just interviewed him. He was like, well, I don't really know, maybe it'll do 20 million. They think 55 million in 5 years. I think we'll do 50 million this year, 50 billion this year billion. Because of this kind of hype cycle of where we are in it. It's possible to be more. I mean, I don't see why not, but it just depends how this hype cycle plays out. What wouldn't surprise us by the end of this year? Could Bitcoin be at 100,000? Yeah, that seemed right for a normal bull market. So, okay, that's a, 2.5x from here or 2x from here. It doesn't seem impossible, which is why I've also been talking about this could be quite a bit of a bubble cycle, whether it's front loaded, so it all happens in this year, or whether it really overextends like some of the prior cycles did. I think that's possible here. So we just have to wait and see. Beautiful about the everything code before I explain what it is. All on crypto Twitter is everybody is a mid-curve. That mid-curve meme, right? Arguing with each other about what is liquidity, what is that, is there a recession, blah, 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 all day. It's overvalued, this. The liquidity curve, the everything code just says liquidity in, I buy it. That's it, right? And liquidity in drives assets, and the more liquidity, the more people take more risk. Simple as that. That's the understanding. So when you see liquidity bottoming, it allows you to start looking at ETH was in that free fall then, but it maps perfectly liquidity, and liquidity had bottomed. I'm like, okay, this is a probability. You've got a chart pattern as well that it all matches. So that liquidity cycle makes it super easy. But the everything code is really the culmination of 30 years work. But what most of us didn't understand was 2008, the entire world changed. We know it broke. We know the debt system broke. And people have been trying to look at the world ever since, including myself. I only figured this out like 2.5, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And the Everything Code I only wrote last year, is that something fundamental had changed because of the use of the balance sheet and liquidity to manage things. What I found back in 2020 was that the use of the balance sheet particularly was not about putting fresh money into markets. It was about debasing the currency. So what happens is the price of scarce assets stays the same, but the value of the currency and its purchasing powers of these scarce assets goes down. Now, it's very different than wages, because wages are a variable asset like corporate earnings. So this is why stocks get more expensive, because earnings don't go up as much as the debasement of the currency. Same with wages, is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, because the rich own these assets. But in 2008, when the world blew up, we had some sort of debt jubilee, a forgiveness. And the forgiveness wasn't the total debt, it was on the interest payments. Everybody around the world said, right, interest rates are zero. So nobody had to pay any interest. And people didn't look at it through those lenses. They're like, oh, they've created free money, they're doing that. No, what they were doing was allowing the system to survive under the weight of debt. So for every government, then reissued all their debts as fast as they could into like the 3 to 5 year zone. That seemed to be the perfect place for them. And everybody did it. In fact, it's like 70 or 80% of all debts by all governments are in that 3 to 5 year zone. So then what happens is every 4 years, roughly, they've got to finance this stuff. And interest rates usually rise at the tail end of a business cycle. It slows the economy. The Fed start cutting, and then they use the balance sheet to monetize the interest payments that are due, because they get bigger and bigger. They compound all the time. This perfect 4-year cycle is the same as the US election cycle, is the same as the Bitcoin halving cycle. And that is actually the liquidity cycle. And if everything is a perfect mirror, like each cycle is a mirror of the previous one, you can forecast the forward cycles. And that's what we started doing. And it's been working like an absolute charm. And it's like, it is a bit spooky. And I keep speaking to Julian Bittle, who works with me. He's like, where is this going to go wrong? We don't know. It's going to go wrong somewhere. Probably when the most number of people are following this theory. That's usually when it goes wrong. But, it's been incredibly accurate. We kind of said that the equity market would be all-time highs. It was all-time highs. We bought the NASDAQ back in October, November of 2022. It was exactly the bottom. We said that tech would be the best performing asset and crypto above it. That kind of worked as well. We use the Everything Code to look at the liquidity cycles within crypto and say what performs where. Well, at this point in the cycle, the first part of the cycle, crypto spring, Bitcoin outperforms, because everybody wants the safest asset because it's still a bit sore from the bear market. They're not quite sure. And then when things start improving, liquidity starts coming back. Once global liquidity year on year starts going positive, well, then ETH starts outperforming. And I put that chart on Twitter the other day. It's very driven by the business cycle. It's driven by the liquidity cycle. So I just thought, well, that looks right. And then I use a bit of technical analysis to figure out, okay, is it about the right timing? So it's that driving it. And Solana was just a piece of luck, because there's always going to be one breakout, like Ethereum was the last cycle, right? And I had been following the Solana narrative and looking at the charts of the Solana ETH cross, thinking, even though it's selling off, it was like in this pattern that looked like it was going to break at some point, and it was diverging. And then I had been at some very fancy private event in Utah by some boutique investment bank, and I met Tolly, and I saw the kinds of people he was speaking to. They were like, the head of YouTube and the head of Instagram and the head of Yuga Labs, and that I'm like, that's interesting. So this is not like a normal chain. This is like, these people know what they're doing. And I own some Solana, a smaller bit, but then I was I started buying in the sell-off because I'm like, this is not going to zero, in the big Solana collapse. I started too early, actually. I bought it in June in that first collapse. I wish I'd bought it even later, and I bought some later on when it got down to the $10 level. But really, it was me going to an event randomly. And a friend of mine I really, really trust called Colleen Sullivan, who's at Brevin Howard, the big giant hedge fund. She started talking about Fire Dancer. I'm like, I don't know what this is. And then Tolly was the next speaker. I spoke, and then Tolly was the next speaker. And he was talking about Fire Dancer. So I went down the rabbit hole that weekend. I got home, and then I realized, oh my God, this is a game changer. It moves the TPS from a theoretical 65,000 to theoretical 1.2 million, which is fast enough for the entire high-frequency trading markets and financial markets. That and the compressed NFTs, I'm like, this is the trade. That weekend, when I'd looked at it, just got back from that Masari event, it broke out. And it's just been a fucking rocket ship since then. I didn't expect it to be up 10x, let's put it that way.